In the balmy days of a great age of upheaval, you are in a crisis but not an emergency crisis. You consult the city's crisis index and the amount of tears along with their thickness and accompany flum suggest moderate crisis with the potential of emergent adversity. The actuarial table suggests you check yourself to a respite center, but do it quickly. This is not the type of crisis for dallying or the type of lackadaisically fumbling for clothes that's allowed with baseline crises 1 to 3. This needs a firm and persistent push out of bed. You have 5 minutes to decide on clothes. Good, no time for LQQKs or Lukes. We just need you to not die on the way to Transnational Respite Center of Peninsula City of the East Prosperous Region. East punch east in your device or the jitney will plop you somewhere invalid to your currency and personhood. 100s die every year on the way to their local respite center because of a mistyped address. Unless you want to get lost, the city's wellness and hygiene bot will not stop you, child. Your silence has been interpreted by this WEL high bot as a desire to live. Congratulations, pour the rest of this oatmeal into your backpack, no time for chewing. Pause. Look in the mirror, check your teeth, hear your cup of mouthwash to prevent transport fines. Adequate. You are ready to board the jitney. For efficiency, we have been authorized to perform some of the intake. Your voice body is being watched for your total answer. Question 1. What is wrong? Yes. Yes. I see. I can see how that can happen. Question 2. Where have you been feeling it? There is no wrong answer. All answers reveal something, especially lies. Yes. It is not known. Question 3. Your 5 least desired methods of death. MMHMM. Yes. Another. One more. We'll see what we can do. We have arrived at the respite center. This intake will be performed at various times during your stay. Namaste. The respite center's goal is to keep you in a crisis state for as brief a period of time as possible. You have a choice between 2 basic programs. The first one is called Crisis Omatich. This first program entails the immediate intake of any medications necessary to manage the crisis, the administering of an immediate treatment regimen and medication regime based on the symptoms of the crisis. If there are no other medical contraindications, you administered a mild sedative which, while not as effective as some of the better drugs in our drug arsenal, will ensure that the crisis stays within reasonable bounds. The second program is called Resolution mustache, and it involves an immediate intake of all medications and treatment regimens appropriate for the crisis, followed by a regimen of deep rest until your symptoms subside, which may take several days. There will be a period of evaluation at the conclusion of your stay that will include a review of the symptoms and their severity during the stay. You request an intensive schizoanalysis with a treatment team of your choosing. This will be considered during the treatment phase, and if deemed medically necessary, you will receive this service. Your request for an interview with Dr. J.W.T.S. John Willard Thomas has been denied because of his busy schedule and lack of availability at the respite center. However, he has left a copy of the transcript of his recent interview with the New York Times. I am not a psychologist. Quote, but you know what you're talking about. Yes, I do. It seems to me, sir, that you got the answer. All you need is the question. Yes, it is the answer. Quote, how would you feel if somebody told you you weren't a psychologist? Like I'm right on time. Thank you for your time, Mr. Thomas. Have a good day. Request the same thing, this time with a regimen of mild stimulants. The treatment team agrees because they want to get you off your meds. You receive an injection of T-Boo and the crisis is terminated. Your treatment team gives you a prescription for more medication and you are returned home, or to work, or to wherever else you need to be. After 2 years and 1 month of living with John Willett, his wife left him, saying she wanted a life in the mountains where the air was clear and pure. What the hell does this have to do with me, you ask? You are standing at the threshold of the house, the front door ajar, your arms wrapped around yourself, as though to protect against cold air. Inside, all lights are off. He shrugs. Nothing much. Then why didn't you tell me when I asked? It's been going on for months. Well, he says, looking into the darkness. You look into the darkness too, but you can see nothing. The nothing is quite large and bulbous and scaly. It is very hard to move now. A few moments ago, there seemed to be a lot of you to move, and you could think clearly and move your limbs in response to commands from other parts of you that were able to communicate with you. Now, however, those parts seem to have shut down. It has all become dark inside of you, a kind of darkness where there seems to be something happening, but it is not something that you would want to do. You decide to research everything about Taboo. You search through every database known to you. The name of the drug turns up nothing except that you've already searched through this information twice and you're not sure you trust the reliability of your previous searches. This time, however, you use an entirely new search criteria based on Taboo's molecular structure, which turns up several hits, a journal article written by a chemist at MIT, a press release from the American Chemical Society, an interview with an inventor of a machine that produces it in the same manner that some machines produce water, and finally, the patent on a pharmaceutical company that is working to develop a version of the drug for human consumption. You decide to get some rest, thinking perhaps the sleep will clear your mind and allow you to make more sense of this. After several hours, you are awakened by John Willard shaking your shoulder and whispering into your ear that there is something on your phone that you should know about. My porn is my business. You roll over. Case closed. What? You say, trying to sound tough. Oh shit, you scared me. You are sitting in bed and your legs are hanging off the edge. Your feet are dangling into the space between the mattress and the frame of the bed, like a kid's legs when they fall asleep under a desk at school. You are looking into John Willard's face, which is about as wide as the frame of the bed, and his eyes are closed and he's breathing rapidly in and out. My John, you certainly have a glow about you. You say. He looks at you and says, I can't breathe. He takes a deep breath and holds it in, and then a few moments later he breathes again. He exhales with what sounds like relief, but it is still just the sound of a person taking air into their lungs. That's not very sexy, he says. You shouldn't be so concerned about what you don't understand. You allow this teaching moment to happen. You stand there looking at here your watch would be. John, I've never seen such a thing, you say. You should go get help. The hospital is right there. I think you should do anything, he says. It will take longer to explain why than for me to get well, and besides, I'm already feeling better. In fact, it feels as though all of this has been happening to another person. So that would be called depersonalization. It's a thing. Go get your thing checked. Get help. Call your mother. Tell her what's happening. You can't say those things to me. I need to get help. This is really important. I know. You're my girl and I love you. I can see you've been through a lot recently. It must be hard to find any balance at all. Just get help, okay? You won't be happy if you don't. There, dot, there you go, quote. He says in the way you have heard women talk to each other after the death of a man who was once loved by both of them. He looks out the window. I'm sorry. It's just that when a relationship breaks down, it's always a sad thing. He closes his eyes again. I just want you to be okay, and that's why I had to tell you about it. You say, gee, thanks for this exit. So dread, I'll put it with the others. You say, he opens one eye and looks at you. It wasn't supposed to go that way, he says, shaking his head, looking at his hands. This is what's happened. Yes, but why? You shrug and turn away from him. He says, it's going to be alright. How could it be alright when you won't be here? When you don't even love me anymore? He mumbles, oh, let me guess, you wonder if it was Eve or love? Spoilers, probably wasn't. Don't titty twist yourself about it, Toots. It's not a big deal. It's like you got hit by a bus and died, only without dying. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. No big deal. No big deal at all. Just get on the next bus or whatever comes along. I don't really give a shit either way, but I'm pretty sure there's more where this came from, and I'll see you at the bus station or maybe the bus stop or something. It's really cool and all of the buses look the same, so I think I'll just keep walking and come find me, and when you do you'll have a big hug and everything will be great because life isn't so hard now, and you'll see it wasn't the end of the world after all, but a beginning, an amazing new beginning. So yeah, I've been depersonalized. What of it? I have more persons where that came from. More people too. I am a people. Unto myself. Quote. He closes his eyes again, then opens them briefly. You should go to the hospital, he says. It's going to be okay. Then he closes his eyes, breathes deeply one last time. He smiles and then begins to laugh. His laughter sounds strange and unhinged. When he is finished, he opens his eyes. You say, what did I ever see in you? My bulge, perhaps? He twiddles his mustache he didn't have before. Why don't you just leave me here and let me die? He shakes his head. No, don't worry, there's still lots more. You look at him in disbelief. He nods and says, go get help. John, what's happening to you? What's happening to me? The laughing and the breathing and the mumbling and the touching. Laugh-In. You sigh and say, it's a lot for me to deal with. I know it is, he says, nodding slowly. So just get help? Yeah, of course, he says. But don't tell anyone I said it. You walk into the living room. There are no lights on and the TV is not turned on. It has been that way for several days. Okay, Chimasabe, what's the plan of action? You ask. He shrugs. I'm not sure yet. Then how do I know anything you tell me is going to be worth listening to? He sighs and looks off into the darkness. Maybe nothing, he says. He takes a deep breath. Asterisk, 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 your body is moving without your consent, propelled by impulses from other parts of yourself which have shut down and seem to have been replaced by this force that is taking charge. It begins by charging at the snidely whiplash that is your ex. This force is so fast that it seems to move at the speed of light, but because you are not seeing it in real time, you think instead that the speed must be some sort of illusion and that if you could somehow slow it down then it would look slower than it really is, as though it was traveling through time. In fact, you know this to be true even as you are experiencing the truth of the matter. As it reaches your ex, it stops suddenly and changes direction so that it becomes your ex, and it charges back at you and knocks you onto the floor where you both lay there, your bodies in awkward positions, looking at each other in a mixture of amazement, horror, and disgust. It's like one of those nightmares that start slowly and end suddenly, like you are trapped in an endless nightmare but can't wake up and you have no idea how to get out of the dream, which is the framing of a long chase through an amalgam of all your school copy. Then amidst the rubble you find your backpack. Open it and it's your 2 pounds of weed. You breath a sigh of relief, pull down your pants and proceed to pee all over your weed. Then, the nightmare continues to be bad, but you have something else to think about, and so it passes. It continues to happen, and it doesn't make any sense, and yet there you are, in a place that is not a place but also is. You're on the floor and someone is lying next to you who is not you, the person you were yesterday, but who you are sure is you and is not you. And this is definitely not your piss, officer. I mean, I guess it might be, but probably not. In fact, this person is lying next to you and they are wearing clothes that don't fit them right and aren't yours and have your name on them, but you didn't give them to them, and there are holes in them that you can see through. This other person is moving without your consent, propelled by impulses from parts of you which have shut down and seem to have been replaced by this force that is taking charge, and it begins to do the frog like how they did it in Laugh-In. In times of yore, pause for knowing laughter. This person who has replaced you is trying to get away and is moving toward the door. This force that is in control of your body wants to keep it occupied, and so the person who has replaced you, who is lying on top of you, gets up on all fours, which feels odd since your knees feel as though they are made out of stone. But this is an important part, so pay attention now, because it's about to happen. Your ex is in trouble. You ask, "What's up?" and listen attentively. "My John," he says. "I'm here." You say, "There." He points. "He's coming in." "It's my John. I'm going to die." "Oh shit, there's a gun." He looks at the gun. "Where's the safety, man?" You say, "It doesn't work with the trigger pulled." Your head is spinning. You charge towards the gun and throw it at the first person who is not your ex. This other person picks it up, looks around frantically, and puts it into its holster before running to your ex and hugging him. Your ex hugs back and the two of them stand there for a few moments looking at each other. This other person takes several deep breaths and then says, "Need help." "I can't breathe," John says. "Help me, I'm going to die." You advise the other person to there him to comfort while you call the ambulance. John looks up and says, "Hey, it's the same person I met before. They're just another version of myself." You say, "You are not yourself, John. We're getting help." John says, "But we've been talking like the first time I ever saw you." You say, "Just be quiet and stop talking. Just let them take you to the hospital." John smiles, looks at his hands, and then looks at himself. and cups our hands together. I will if you will. He yells at the first person that is not him, who is not him but also is. Shakes his head in disbelief. You know what I'd give for just one more day with you. Don't talk to him, you say. The other person nods. Yes, they say. They lead you to your bedroom. It is strange how things seem so mundane and at the same time are filled with such terror. Like your little plush Yoda body pillow, or your bed sheets which don't fit right, or your comforter which is the wrong color, or this room which smells funny, especially now that there's a strange person in it. What's your name? John asks. I am, it says. It takes another deep breath and then smiles. I am. John laughs as though it is very funny. For this is the moment he had been waiting for then the god of this world would approach and have a mission for him. And then John knew what he must do. He said, it's going to be okay. Just hold on. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. As they were driving away from the hospital, John says to himself, you know, I really should get my Axie card or something. I wonder if they'll still accept Velveeta at Hallmark. Then they arrive at home. This place, John says. Gorgonzola is the main cheesemonger choice here. Remember that, I say. They go upstairs. The lights are on upstairs too, but the rooms look different, like the colors are not right or are out of place. This room has a lot of books and papers on the table, all the way around, and all kinds of stuff piled up along the wall, all kinds of stuff, some of which doesn't seem to belong in the room. The other room has a desk, and several computers and an aquarium full of tropical fish. The fish are in the middle of a good sports season, it seems. There is a lot of blood on the walls, and there is a lot of dead fish on the floor. They enter a bathroom where there is no tub, only a sink with a toilet attached to the wall behind it. There is a large mirror above this, which is also cracked. In one of the cracked areas, John sees his reflection, but it's not him but some other person. and that person calls the toilet his very own one-stop shop. He smiles at what he sees and says, "What is your name again?" "I'm called John," the person responds. John asks, "Did you get my text?" "You texted me. When? Where's the phone?" John holds up a bag containing the phone. "There was a crack in the screen and I didn't want it getting any worse, so I took it to the repair shop." That's a lot of money, but the service will be fast and efficient, John says, holding up a bag that contains a new laptop computer and a cell phone with a big antenna and a bright orange back. "Look, it's got Bluetooth and a USB port. It looks like you're still going to get a bill," the person says. John shrugs and says, maybe not." You oscillate between the few possibilities for days. Sometimes you're in the one place and sometimes you are in another. Sometimes you think it might just be your imagination, because how can there be a whole other reality next door to the one you experience every day? But then again, isn't this the sort of thing that only happens on TV shows, and in science fiction stories, and in the movies, and not in real life? And besides, it isn't the sort of thing that would happen to you because you've always been such a boring guy. John, I'm more of a practitioner of the vast froth of realities all over us. Like espresso foam, I can be anywhere, I am everywhere, I'm never in just one place at any one time. But then I might also be in several different places simultaneously. And so if you don't mind, I'd like to stay here where I can keep an eye on you. Because let me tell you, this place has a strange feel to it, a strange smell to it too. What was that? Oh yeah, I have no permission to call myself Spooky Santorum at a distance. That's my brother who lives in a van down by the river. And I'm not sure how long this will take, but I know that it will probably take some time. So you might as well make yourself comfortable and have some coffee or something. The person is not sure what John is talking about, and so they say, "I don't know how I'll get through this," as though it's not the sort of thing that could happen to them, because they always believed in magic. So what happens when a magic user gets all bombarded by the science? How does science? The other person asks John for some food, and so he brings in the rest of the groceries and makes coffee and puts the milk in the fridge. He also gets the bag with the fish on it and looks at the label on the plastic baggie, which says tuna flavored pure COCOAMEL toy bits. He smiles, opens the bag, takes out a fish and holds it up. You are blessed with the Crickfulous-esque magnification of every scale and pore and bung of the fish fella. You can count the teeth in the fish's mouth, examine the eye to see if there is any blood behind them. The fish looks like a cross between a piranha and an eel, and the fish looks at you with its beady little eyes, and then you look back and smile, as though this is a pleasant moment for both of you. "That's a nice-looking fish," you say to the fish. The fish continues suffocating from all the air it can't breathe. Its tail whips wildly around. You giggle. It's not going to be so bad being dead, right? Because, if nothing else, this is going to be an interesting death. And then maybe they can do it again and again until they get it right, or maybe it will even happen more than once. "I'm gonna go get us some breakfast," John says. You think about how to answer his question, and say, "No, I don't think we need anything, except that maybe a friend to talk to." You have an idea, and 3 hours later, the newly dead fish is wearing an exact replica of your suit, only tiny. The sign says the dock is in. $50. John asks you why you didn't want him to come, and you laugh. "Oh, this is so funny. I've got a dead fish on my head, and it's wearing clothes. This is really something else. Oh, and look here," you say as you hold up a pair of sunglasses. They are black and have rhinestones all over them, and there is a tag that reads, "SUGARVOB Brown, please hat and gloves." The next day you meticulously produce a degree in psychology at the school of your choice. You make a big show of putting it in your bed spot. Aw, look, the fish thinks it's people that thinks it's a licensed practitioner. He wants to get out and practice, and I don't blame it. We've got to go see someone who can help him, but before we do that I just thought of something. I'm going to make a big sign saying School of Psychology and put it by our door. John doesn't seem very impressed, although he says good, let's do that. And John even ends up doing most of the work. After they've made the sign, you put it in the place where the fish used to be. John takes a few pictures with his new cell phone and sends them to the person you are not and who you are. You smile and shake your head as though you are in pain and say, "It looks like you're getting along well with this thing." John says, "It's nice to have a friend who's got a good sense of humor." You, who the fuck do you mean by that? How have you been seeing others when you have not left my side in days? Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot we had that talk. Yes, the one about how I don't think anyone can be as crazy as you are and still have any sort of life outside of the loony bin. I know, it must be difficult for you to be stuck on a planet so crowded with crazies as to make Earth's population of 6 billion look like the world's smallest little village. And yes, that means you too, Mr. Santorum. Look at you, Mr. Santorum, plopping out from your cave to teach us about person-centered and trauma-informed care. And what a great example of a therapist you are being to that fish on your head. You don't need to tell me that this is your first stint. I can tell, because even a fish wouldn't want you anywhere near his head. But I can also tell that no matter what this thing might look like inside its body, there is some tiny little spark of a mind just dying to get out. But would settle for just dying. I have to take a few deep breaths here, and I am not sure why, because it's not as though it is all that hard for you to breathe in here. But maybe it is hard for me to breathe because you are right here in front of me breathing. Maybe I should have been breathing into a bag or something. That's another thing I've forgotten how to do. I can't remember anything else. I took an exercise module whose prerequisite was to remove my mirror neuron system along with my neurons, so I could be truly at ease with whatever other people were doing, or whatever was happening inside my head, in case the person on the outside happened to be having a particularly good time of it, or had made some sort of amazing discovery inside their head. And that way, no one could tell when I was doing any thinking, because I couldn't see what the person on the outside was thinking. The only way to know if someone was thinking was to actually listen to what they said. Fuck that noise. It doesn't mean squat. All it does is remind me about all those years of my life I wasted pretending to be interested in what other people were saying. And then it reminds me how much I don't enjoy it anymore, and makes me feel really fucking guilty that I don't want to do it again. What the fuck are you talking about? You are making no sense at all. Oh wow, textbook gaslighting. How innovative. I'll leave you and Dr. Spack over there to have you pet your way to the 80s as I try to go back in time, but this time maybe a little more quickly than I did last time. But I have a lot to think about before I go. I've been spending most of my time on Earth thinking about how you got here, and I still haven't figured it out. Maybe you just came through a wormhole, but then I would expected some sort of physical damage, and you don't look like you have any injuries that might explain where you are now. Any historical figures you wanna shove? Me neither. I'd rather go somewhere else, like Mars. What about your brother, Mr. Santorum? He can come with us if he wants to too. I think he likes to travel, even though he is homeless, but we could always take him back home if that's not where he wants to be. But if you are going to Mars and I don't want to hear any bullshit excuses from you because I'm not stupid, then you are leaving me here all alone. Asterisk, 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 and bam, that's how, 5 years later, we arrive at Mars. It has all kinds of trees and a few little bushes and rocks and things, and the sky looks so blue it feels like it might just rip the very fabric of time apart, and you wonder why people ever thought Mars was red. And John tells you it is because the air is thinner, and so the sunlight reflects off the atmosphere and turns everything pinkish-orange instead. And that is how, after 5 years, they end up at an apartment in Houston, and then you get a job in Dallas. And then he has the gall to say that he can make the commute every day. Now this Rolling Stone is gonna RPLL a few more years, BH Bay. You are not taking any shit from anyone. You are not going back to being a slave to a man. And so you decide you need a place of your own. You find one. It's a big studio apartment over the bar on Commerce, which means every now and then someone will walk right in while you're having a shower or brushing your teeth. One of them, a big guy with his hair combed out straight, comes in as he is finishing getting dressed and asks, "Hey, these penny slots work? Yeah, knock yourself outm you go." But you don't say that to the big guy because he seems to have the look about him that says that he is really serious about finding the right machines to put some money into. The big guy doesn't notice, or he ignores the fishy thing that's wearing a wig and a dress with a high neckline, because he is so busy playing with the machines and putting quarters and dimes and dollars into them, while occasionally checking out the pretty girls dancing behind the bar, and the pretty guys that have have the body frame of these slot machines. And the big guy wins something small for the first time on this new machine he is playing, and he says, "Hell yeah, I'm winning. This is awesome." But after 2 hours of losing and not even hitting a bonus round, you decide to leave because it's late and there are other people coming in who look like they might be regulars. That's right, you're the one with the great tits. Tips. We'll just assume tips. It's a little creepy to see this big guy with his shirt off, but not as much as when he's got his hair in a ponytail and his face is scrubbed clean and he is still wearing some of the same clothes he was wearing 5 years ago at the time of his death. And you wonder what that might mean. That maybe he has a lot more living to do. But then you remember, he is dead. His deadness got through only documenting by CCTY, and 5 coroners identified during the Alltown massacre that some of us neglected to remember, no judging. So anyway, after a while he gets up from the table where he has been sitting with the rest of his crew, and you are standing, talking with a hostess about your next booking. He is staring at you like you've caught his attention. So you wave. He smiles, which turns into a grin, and that turns into a laugh, and he walks over to you with his arm around some woman's shoulder. You take that as your cue to make out with the nearest boy, which happened to be Stymie Mitchell, known for his styles. And so you two dance away, and after a few minutes, Mitchell pulls you over to where the bandstand is. He's got his hand on your knee. "Let me show you something. It's my favorite song." Stymie Mitchell's favorite song is "I Wanna Be Your Dog." The thing about music is that sometimes it can make you feel really bad about yourself, and it will give you a reason to get down and start feeling sorry for yourself, or it can make You marinate in your favorite artist's vibes, which is their own personal coping for their own despair. It's win-win, except for the folk who can't pay it forward. Like the ones that have the misfortune of knowing exactly what they are singing about. Or the ones that are listening to their favorite bands, and the songs make them want to jump off of buildings. But that doesn't last forever because there are always songs about jumping off of buildings. The only time I don't mind being depressed is when the band is playing their sad shit and not their happy shit, which can sometimes make things even more depressing than they would have been anyway, but you don't need. Strange fruit to have the monopoly on songs. TAHT causes sensation, sweeping the weepy nation. You can write your own if you feel so inclined, or you could just listen to other people's. I'm sure there are lots of folks willing to tell you their deepest secrets in exchange for the right tune. So you sit down with Stymie Mitchell and watch as the rest of his friends take a break from dancing to come back to their table to talk with him. Then he starts to dance and sing, and you are watching him so intently, but the thing is no one else is. It just so happens, his song is all about dancing alone in a room full of oblivious people. Check out these poppin' lyrics. You're looking at me like a monkey on crack. I'm trying to tell you I can't get enough of you. So put the drink down and let me take ya, 'cause you ain't got a clue. I'm not going to tell you it gets better, because it doesn't, except for when there is music playing. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. After you get your place, you decide to throw yourself into therapy. It just gets different, and then you start to realize that maybe you are not actually listening to the words so much as you are hearing the sounds they are making when the words are written out. Which is the same thing that is happening with me right now. I am not really paying attention to what I am saying, and you probably don't even know what you are saying half the time you are speaking. Because you can say whatever you want as long as someone else is doing the talking and thinking, but they are only hearing that. Things things that are said, and not everything needs to be said anyway. The world would be a little bit brighter place without all the noise that gets made. So maybe you shouldn't talk so much. But I have been saying nothing. I didn't know that was possible. I mean, it's just words that come out of my mouth, and then you hear them, and then you make them into meaning, and they are just sounds until someone decides to give them meaning. I think you should stop talking for a while. Because if I could listen to you speak and not get tired of you so quickly, you'd never stop talking to me. You're so sweet. I feel like a princess. I don't feel like a princess at all. I'm pretty sure I'd rather be a queen. I've decided to do an experiment. I am going to say the first word that pops into my head and see where it takes me. I clench and roll a die in my mind that is as big as the English language. It rolls over hills and valleys and smooshes many towns until it comes up with the word suck. Now I clench and roll that word until it gives me the same kind of response. It comes out suck, and then I decide to roll some more words in my head. That is so not fair. What is it with you? Why does every question you ask have such a negative connotation? You don't ever look at the bright side of anything. I can't stand your negativity. I have decided to call it negativity, so that you'll know why I hate it so much. Do you have a name? No, because my real name doesn't really mean anything. But you should have a name. No, I don't. Why not? Because I never needed one.
Why is it so longest words?
Ha! Well, you have a new name now because I.W. Lucadorandon and Roscuti Lucia for moi portatori suis fall naborn sport how can sacroid virgkapaka pukasno for lag Kata colic dag cackle cacaganga calil gal kalil klid lalil jaklid lack clack kjl clutch clan lil la 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 la. So anyway, what are your plans for this weekend? Well, I was going to take the bus all the way out to Dallas, but it's not going to happen. Because they made abortions illegal, so the trip's no longer worth it. That makes me so sad. You don't like abortions. I mean, it would make the world so much more perfect if everyone had one once in their lifetime. It keeps the population down. Yeah, and I guess there is always a chance that I could get knocked up by some random dude who'll then force me to abort his child. So yeah, that's a problem. I see. That's why my platform for abortion. Some people say life begins at conception, but I say life begins at 40. And that's a good point, but what happens after 40? Do you have a plan for those that reach 50 and above? Because those are the ones with the most to worry about. That's not the point of my campaign. My plan is based on science. When sperm meets egg, what comes out of it? What if that isn't really a baby, but just a collection of cells growing into a human being? How can we best monetize those cells before becoming that being? Like saying it's psych and then making stem bank on those stem cells. Yeah, that's where you get them to bank so that you can pay for their treatments or whatever you want to do with them. I think it's pretty brilliant. I'll be honest, you probably aren't going to become president, but the way things are going right now, I'm going to have to vote for you anyhow. Asterisk, 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 you. So anyway, how's your summer been? I'm embarrassed to say 'cause I don't want to make you feel bad, but just coming back from my 8th abortion. It's such a blessing to be able to get abortions at a place like this. They really know their stuff here. But why don't you go to Planned Parenthood? I mean, it's free for poor women there, because they only take medications. I am a middle-class mother, and the fact that I cannot afford to abort my pregnancies because they won't let me is unacceptable. What would my co-op board think? They'd kick me out of my apartment. So I have to take advantage of this great service, and the fact that these places are always open is a big plus. I love it here. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer. Oh wait, what day is it? It's Friday the 13th. That must mean that I will have one less abortion by Monday. Yeah? Friday the 13th. And a special deal where they process the cells and give you a nice dietary supplement pack you can make into a shake or just move it. That sounds like a plan to me. Maybe I should get some of my friends from the co-op together for a stem cell party. We could all make one drink out of our stem cells to celebrate the day. It's not Friday the 13th anymore, but that does sound like fun. Well, my plan was to go to a movie on Friday night, but I guess if you are around we can go see something else. And that was how the communal stem cell punch bowl party was born. Less than the 4th grade class bow, and all the parents applaud greater than it was actually the most fun thing that ever happened in the history of mankind, because the world's first stem cell drink was made at our house. The party wasn't even for my birthday, but we had so much fun. I am pretty sure it would have been just as happy making one anyway. And if we were really going to be honest, my birthday isn't until next year. That does sound like fun. And how? Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I am having the weirdest feeling that things are finally changing. I mean, you don't usually think of your parents being cool people, or the person who takes care of you all of the time, but I know I never really gave them any credit for what they were doing for me all these years. You don't always notice the little things that a person does, and when you stop noticing something, it's probably because it means that they have changed in a way that doesn't seem like. Violent, like a frog being lovingly coaxed into warm water that you then lovingly coax the dial to boiling point. I am saying this in a metaphor because it's hard to tell exactly how I feel right now. It's a complicated process of letting go, and it is taking me a long time, but I have to let you go so I can live. So here I am. My eyes are closed. I'm holding your hand, and your fingers are touching mine. You're not there.
That's perfect end. It's a good end. It's a good end. It's a sufficient end. It's okay. Wait, this is the one that began with respite center? We just did one continuous. Oh my god. Wow. Wow, okay. I'm gonna take a break. Wow. Wow. End my stream.